Everybody to this wonderful opportunity to have a webinar on shared services in New Mexico and to hear what people are doing. Very interesting and intriguing opportunities going on around the state. And let's see, if we're going to be sending out after this links to various things, including this webinar. We are recording it, as you can, at least it shows on our screen that it's being recorded. Hopefully it says it on your screen too. So we want to keep a record of it and be able to share this with people at another point, with other people. And we're going to send out other resources like the Shared Services webpage, which is a really cool resource for child care centers. It's a web page where all kinds of cool resources are on, and you can go there and get a membership for free. Oh, there now it's the screen in the room. I'm distracting myself with myself. So it's newmexeca.org. And events coming up. We're going to have a Child Care Policy Summit on October 22nd, so keep your eyes open for that. So we are lucky to have people from Grants, from Silver City, and from Albuquerque. However, those people from Albuquerque are going to be talking about an experience going on right now in Santa Fe, in large part. So I'm going to ask you, as you answer this first question, this first set of questions, I'd like you to introduce yourselves also, and to answer this a couple of linked questions. What is your group's mission and vision? What was the process of creating the mission and vision, if you've done that? And how has the shared services model influenced your work? And I'm going to ask Terry to go first on this one, and Gigi and Kersti to go second, and then Kathy and Lara. So Terry, take it away.
Okay, well, thank you. We started our shared services project in the spring of 2015, and I was asked to come at the cry of child care centers having a difficult time keeping their doors open. And was there a way that we could help? I had heard about shared services, and so we wrote a grant, got funded in that April of 2015, and began the work. So how we began was actually with the idea of a lot of discussion, trust, relationship building, and then really focusing on what a vision and mission might be for our shared services group. So I want to throw up, oh, now I don't see my, there it is.
We're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, if you aren't, there we go. Go ahead. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, so we really began the work of our shared services group working to build a relationship between 5 child care programs, nonprofit, for-profit, and nonprofit, for-profit, and faith-based programs. And it was actually the faith-based program that actually cried for the cry of help to begin with. And so we began with the creating of a vision and mission. I need to pull it up here for you. And as we worked through this first year, this is the results of that work. We came up with the name Grant Community Education Links, which is Learning Network for Kids. And you can see a vision and a mission. And I do want to tell you, we were months getting this vision and mission created and developed, with a lot of other side things going on and discussions going on. But I want to say, when I answer how that has influenced the work, I have to say that this is all tied to economic development for our families and our communities to have access to childcare so they can go to work. And when we think back about what this shared services work is doing, that is still kind of the foundation. Keeping the doors open in our program. We're a small rural area. We don't have a lot of choices or a lot of programs, so the ones we have are extremely important to keep open. And for parents to have a choice, it's extremely important. So we have 5 child care programs currently, and they range all sizes, and like I mentioned, they're faith-based, nonprofit, and for-profit programs.
Cool, thank you. Is that it for now? Thank you, Terry.
Well, I think that's probably my 5 minutes. You have to watch me, Badgie. You know I can.
That's right. That's right.
So be careful there.
Okay, so Kersti and Gigi, about how did your group get started at vision and mission? Uh-oh.
Oh, no sound. She's muted.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay. And I'm going to share my slides. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Not letting me. Okay. Maybe I won't share my slides.
No, a little over. I see it. Slideshow.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Okay, try that. But I still have this.
Gigi, it looks.
Are you there?
Yeah, we just see the slide over here.
Okay, great. You can see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's great to hear about all these things going on in New Mexico around shared services. I'm representing the Collaborative Teachers Institute, as Badgie mentioned, which is in Santa Fe. And the Collaborative Teachers Institute started in about 2014. There was a group of early childhood educators that came together as part of a informational meeting about shared services to talk about what they were interested in sharing and coming together around. And the programs that came together were interested in sharing professional development, and they were interested in professional development that what we refer to as advanced, or something that's beyond just health and safety, but really to look at teaching and learning. So I started to work with the Collaborative Teachers Institute through the help of the Baby Fund, the Santa Fe Baby Fund, to develop a model for educators to come together and share on a monthly basis work from the classroom. And our work is very much Reggio Emilia inspired. It's looking at reflective practice and how to support pedagogical leaders at programs. So I'm just going to share a couple of, it's not letting me share the slides. I was going to share the vision and mission.
It's not advancing, huh?
Yeah, it's not advancing. And I can't get out of here. Wait, is that, can you see that?
Yep.
So this is kind of just a diagram that looks at the Collaborative Teachers Institute in terms of we have collaborative teacher meetings that happen at programs that the people that come to the monthly meeting represent. And then we come together as in a monthly meeting to share our work also. So again, it's a group of early childhood educators in Santa Fe who are interested in pedagogical leadership. And the CTI really is a place for us to think and explore and take risks and be supportive among our colleagues in this process. And here are our principles of the CTI. And really the principles were created, myself and Katie Dry from the Baby Fund, we looked at a lot of the things that were being said in the meetings among the participants and came up with a draft for the principles. And then these principles were shared back to the group, and then people gave input and we changed them. And what I'm sharing with you now are the principles of the CTI. That teachers, administrators, and consultants require time to deepen our practice and our work with children. And we require time to collaboratively come together, and that's what the CTI really does. And we also believe that pedagogical leaders require time to think and plan and learn from each other. And that teachers, programs really benefit from having someone at their program who is really trained in this role of a pedagogical leader to really help teachers think deeper about their practice. And we have discovered that that really deepens the work and the quality of a program. And children benefits, we really believe in the family as being an important part of that, and talk a lot about how to help families understand the work we do as well. So, and I think that's kind of it in terms of the vision and the mission and the shared service, the role of shared services.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gigi. So now I'm going to turn to Lara and Kathy and hear about what's going on in grants around your purpose, vision, and mission.
Okay. Laura and I are co-founders of the Western Regional Early Childhood Collaboration. And we're in our infancy, so we don't have a formal structure per se, and we are working on our mission and our vision. But our initial mission and vision was to bring together early child care providers in Cibola and McKinley counties and provide opportunities for problem solving, trainings, celebrating our profession together. And as a result of that, I just want to put in this little blurb. We received a McEwen grant last year, in part because we are from one of the counties, or we are from areas that are considered at risk in New Mexico. So that's really helping expand what we're able to do. And we're very appreciative of that. So how this came about was through conversations with other professionals and realizing that there really was a lot of challenges that they were facing, and a lot of the challenges were the same challenges Laura and I were facing in the classroom. And so I called Laura, who is my buddy in real life too, and I said, well, let's do this. Let's try having a meeting and forming the collaboration. So our initial meeting was in my classroom, and we had potluck, and there was about, what would you say, Laura, about 20 people there, 15
Maybe
people
not
there.
even, yeah.
It was really a small gathering. And that's emerged into quarterly meetings. And at our Gallup meeting last spring, we had right at 100 individuals attend. So it's really growing, and we're experiencing these growing pains. So I'm very interested to see some of these guiding principles and things that you guys are using in as your formats, because we may want to, discuss some of the issues we're currently facing with you and get some of your ideas on how to expand. We wanted this to be based on, initially, we wanted this to be based on the WSLN, or the Western States Leadership Model, where there really wasn't a formal type board convening, but it would be up to the individual area that was hosting the meeting. And we found that we're probably not going to be able to work on that basis just because we're getting a little too big right now. So we are in the process of deciding how we're going to regroup and reformat. Our first meeting is going to be in September, so we'll be facing some of those discussions and questions at that time.
And when we talk about the shared services model, one of the reasons that I came on board with this idea was that I had taught in the same district for multiple years and had no idea what was available to serve my families and my students, even after 5 or 6 years in the district. So when we started it with not just pre-K teachers in mind, but home care providers and home visitors and the WRECC staff. Anybody who serves young families are welcome to be a part of our collaboration, so that we can learn, not only from each other and experientially, but also what's actually available to our families.
Great, wonderful. That's really neat. Thank you so much.
Baji,
Yes.
I feel like I've left something out that I can be real quick about. But
Okay.
one of the things that I meant in mentioning the history of this was we have a 501c3 organization called the Community Partnership for Children. And that group is the foundation of how the grant was written, and they're the group that is supporting the work of the Grant County Shared Services Links group. And so I wanted to mention that. It's a small board of volunteers made up of educators and other people and other community people within our community. We're an S hub, and that's where we're growing our shared services practice out of. So I needed to mention that real quickly.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah, the nonprofit home for you, the Community Partnership for Children, and in Santa Fe, the Santa Fe Community Foundation are strong supports for your work, for sure.
Correct.
Sure. So I'm going to read the second question now. What are some projects you are currently working on, and what challenges have you faced or do you currently face, and how are you working to overcome them? And I'm going to switch the order just a little bit and ask CTI, Gigi or Kersti to go first, and then we'll do grants or Cibola and McKinley County, and then Grants County. So we have 2 grants here. Anyway, so Gigi or Kersti?
Okay, I'm going to answer this question again, and I'm going to try to share my screen again. So one of the cool things that we did this past year at the CTI was we created an exhibit of the work that we have been studying together as a group. So just to take a step back, first of all, what our current project really is to sustain the monthly meeting where people come together and bring documentation from the classroom, and we study it as a group. We look at pictures and photographs and things that children are saying and doing, and we really learn from children from that documentation. And then at the end of last year, we had these amazing projects that were happening in the classrooms, and we decided to create an exhibit of stories. And we also wanted to share this work with the community so that people could get a kind of an idea of what we did at the CTI, but also we wanted to share this idea about play and children's play and how to make sense of it as learning as well, to really advocate for play. So the Baby Fund helped to support putting together this exhibit. You can see some of the images in the background, and then here's another one kind of close up. And this exhibit was displayed at different places in Santa Fe businesses, so it was kind of expected and unexpected places in the Santa Fe community where the exhibit was displayed. And now we're currently looking for another place to show the exhibit, which might be the Children's Museum. So I think, just to look back at some of the challenges of the CTI, I think is always we're, trying to figure out where's the home for the CTI. Is it become its own kind of institution, or is it, the Baby Fund is currently supporting it, but how long will that support go on? And that's always kind of our big question is how do we sustain the work? And also, how do we grow it? And how do we share what we do in the CTI with other communities? What we do with the CTI is very unique in that we do use a particular protocol for studying documentation, which really supports understanding what's happening in the classroom. So I think that's always kind of one of our big challenges is trying to think about sustainability and to grow and to continue to share the CTI's work outside of our community. Did you want to say anything, Kersti, on that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was talking, but it was muted. I think that captures it nicely, and I'll probably be able to catch in on the next question.
Okay, cool.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to turn to Lara and Kathy.
Okay. Well, as Kathy mentioned, we are very much in our infancy. This is only going to be our second full year of meeting. So what we have been working on right now, our projects, is getting a calendar in place prior to the beginning of our year, or the school year, so that teachers can make decision whether or not to come and alter their schedules around that. We also, because we're working with what the membership, let's say, have requested, or what topics that have come up in conversation, we're looking at finding speakers to come and present on those topics that the teachers need more support in, or more information about. One of the largest challenges we have faced so far is getting everyone involved that we would really like to have involved. So far, it is teachers. It's New Mexico pre-K teachers. We've been able to have the Gallup Head Start join us, but we have yet to be able to include home care providers and some of the other entities that would really make a big impact on our group. So we're looking at alternative meeting times. So right now we're meeting during the day, on the planning day of the grants and McKinley County schools, with the days that they have planning for the pre-K. And so that's really difficult if you are a home care provider to say, oh, I'm just going to take 3 hours and go over to grants for a meeting. So we're looking at, do we want to try to invite people to come to an evening meeting? Do we want to also have the opportunity for them to come on a Saturday? And it's been difficult to also convey that desire to our members, because they're like, no, I'm fine with the Friday. And I'm like, yes, but think about other people who work in the field. What would work for them? And so that's been my struggle. I'm kind of the secretary, so it's been my struggle. And we have horrible technology. When we're looking at the Navajo Nation, they don't have consistent cell service. They don't have internet access except at work. And some of them are very limited on how they can use their internet access for personal things. And so those are probably our biggest challenges right now.
Yeah.
Well, I laugh because it's just not the Navajo Nation that has trouble with technology. I have trouble with technology, and I live in Grants. One night I had to hotspot to get to a meeting. So, we're struggling with some of those challenges and trying to figure out how to currently work through them.
The nice thing is the McCune grant that Kathy mentioned is going to provide us with a little bit of, maybe not leverage, but we can say, hey, you're really awesome, and if you come to grants, we'll buy you lunch, or we'll pay for your gas. We're not sure how yet, but we'll give them some kind of incentive to come and speak to our group. So that should help out too.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Terry, what about...
Yeah, when we've started this project, we were able to tap into some resources that have, there's a National Shared Service Alliance that's doing things, and they've been out there doing things. So we had the opportunity I had the opportunity actually to go to Colorado Springs and tap into those resources and bring some of that information back. And then along the way, I think one of our first most exciting projects is we actually brought Baji and NMAEYC people down to our community to introduce the New Mexico Shared Service Alliance. And that was huge because
the webpage. You're talking about the webpage.
I'm sorry, yes, I'm talking about the webpage, the New Mexico Early Childhood Alliance webpage, which is modeled after the national webpage. And we are so fortunate in this state to have that funded by CYFD. And we did some advocacy work on that when the legislative session came around to make sure that stays in connection with us. What I discovered is that out of our programs, people weren't they didn't know about the resources. And so out of the work that we've been doing, we now have everybody joined, all programs, all partners are members of that alliance and so excited about the resources at their fingertips. And so we get a lot of that information coming back in our meetings. And that's been huge. And I thought, if nothing else pans out in this work that we're doing, that's huge. Because we also took it to students because we're have a small area, and Western New Mexico University is a huge part of our community. We had a certain class that came down, and so we had students here. So we had in attendance that night, we had about 45 people. 45 people that learned about how to become a member of this alliance. So that was huge. One of our most exciting projects. Right after that, in the spring, we brought in Louise Stoney, who is a national shared services guru, I have to say, and such a fan and so knowledgeable and so willing to help. I just can't say enough good things about her, and Libby as well, her other coworker. But Louise, we brought her in on a Zoom call because we were looking at my group was starting to develop some goals that they wanted to take on. And we were really grappling with how do we go about even doing this? So by having Louise come on and talk to us, she gave us some information. I did a lot of pre-work with Louise, kind of facilitating how we should direct this. And then she came on and spent 2 hours with us and we had a great meeting. So those were really huge. We were able to take our project and present at NMAEYC State Conference in March. That was exciting as well. Some of the little things that are not so little as these 5-6 programs have helped each other. They talk about enrollment, and we check in each month. Are they full? Because we've learned that you have to have full enrollment to make the dollars roll and to run a business. And so they have learned to help each other. If they've got a 2-year-old waiting list or a 1-year-old waiting list or a 3-year-old whatever, they will share that information with each other. That has been huge. To get these programs to have enough trust and faith in each other to actually share to make sure that all programs are running full. So that's been really huge. I think one of my favorite stories probably is my 5 minutes up, Maggie. You better watch me. Social media
story.
We had a newcomer come to our county. She got on our Grant County Beat site, which is a Facebook social media thing. And what's the best childcare to enroll my childcare in? And boy, did that spark a conversation. Parents got on there and started bagging one program against another program. And then, lo and behold, we had that happen among teachers, saying, well, no, this is the best program, and this is why. So we face social media challenges in this day and age, and we have to be prepared for that. They brought that concern back to our meetings, and we had one of the best conversations of how we, as leadership in our programs and directors of our centers, how we could deal with that and should deal with it. Some had policies that we're going to go back and reiterate that policies. Others had not even created policies, and we're going to go create policies. That's a short little story of some of the conversation. The biggest challenge I have is how to get people to come to the meetings. They have long days, long hours, and to find a time. And so our meeting kind of fluctuates. We'll have good ones and not so good ones. And to do the kind of work that we're doing, we need all programs represented. That's probably the biggest challenge. I'll stop.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Terry. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, all of you. This is great. So the next question is, pardon? Yeah. In fact, Gigi, start.
I was going to say, I was paying attention.
Make sure you're fair. Yes, good. So the third is, what are your group's goals? And I'm going to start with Lara and Kathy this time. What are your group's goals? What was your group's focus when you started, and how has it evolved over time?
Okay, when we started, the goal was really simple. It was to bring early childhood professionals and educators together. As we discussed earlier, to share experiences, to discuss challenges, and share needs, and support each other, because we lack that in our counties. But that the support was one of our most important goals. And what's evolved is we've actually kind of created a third space. And initially, this was just, Laura hates catchwords, but I'm going to use one anyway. This is a grassroots organization. It was designed for people from the bottom up. And that would be teachers, your early child care professionals. That was what this was initially designed for. And when we started, administrators got wind of this. So they wanted to come to our meetings, I personally think, to see what we were up to. But, you never know. So we said that administrators were certainly welcome, but it was not about their agenda. And what has happened is we've created this third space where early child care professionals, providers, and administrators and community members have all come together in a place of mutual respect and understanding. And while it is still about the what the teachers' needs are and what the early childhood professionals are facing, they are there to provide support for that. And we've had tremendous support, and I'll let Laura speak to that a little bit. You want me to go ahead? Okay. I'll go ahead and speak about that then. New Mexico Pre-K has been very supportive. They sent people from the initial meeting. NMAEYC has been very supportive. Teach has been supportive. New Mexico State University Grants Branch has come. We now have brought in the diocese for Gallup and grants, and we have the parochial schools working with us, which is something we have never had that relationship with them. So things are growing, and we're really loving it. And I think the thing that is one of the most important components of this is it's a place where we're growing leadership in our communities with individuals that are invested and that are the voice of the children and the families that we're serving.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Let's see. Gigi and Kersti. Is that Kersti? You're going to answer this next one.
Sure. I will answer this one, and I'm just going to try to share my screen. I can find my PowerPoint. Sorry. Okay. Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Super.
So this is very much aligned to what Gigi shared earlier, which is sort of the goals of the Collaborative Teachers Institute. My role has been a really neat role because I've been the researcher. The Thornburg Foundation was generous enough to fund a research project so we could learn how the CTI was working and what impact it had on different programs. And so I wanted to just speak to a little bit of what we've learned from having the goals that CTI set out for itself, which I think really all start around this idea of having work centered on having a strong image of the child. And then that has been really grounded in the study of documentation of children's interests. And so every single week, a different program has brought forward some sort of documentation about the learning that's happening in one of their classrooms. And sometimes that documentation is shared by the teacher themselves, and sometimes it is shared by a program director. But that has been the center of the work. And there are about 10 different programs who have participated consistently in the Collaborative Teachers Institute over the last 18 months. We've had 17 meetings, and in each one of those meetings, some form of documentation has been shared. And what teachers have found is, even though their programs are all in really different places in terms of doing documentation and having weekly planning meetings and doing this work as a staff, by bringing this together, by bringing people from 10 different organizations together on a regular basis, it has helped them all to deepen their practice around what it means to teach based on this idea of having a strong image of the child. And then very closely related to that is that programs have been able to share how they engage families in that classroom, and so they've been able to grow each other's practices around that. Teachers having time and support to improve children's opportunities to learn has also been a big one, in that, again, it has looked different in every single program, and I think that's one of the things that the CTI has really shown, is that even though it had the original idea, like Gigi showed you the model of having these collaborative teachers meetings once a month, and then the ideal was that every single program would have weekly meetings with their teachers, and that those meetings would be similar to the kinds of meetings that we have monthly with the CTI. And that, again, has looked different in every single program based on the time, the different resources they have to negotiate teachers' time and to support teachers to have collaborative planning time. And so, but the Collaborative Teachers Institute, sort of by having this documentation work at the center, I think has really supported the programs to keep the interest and the focus on children's interests and thinking about how do you organize teaching based on that. And all the programs that have showed up consistently have made some sort of movement around that, around collaboratively planning curriculum, around improving basic practices, around studying, using this idea of reflective practice to think about what was working for the children in their program and the families in the program. And another big piece around the goals that has been exciting to learn about is this idea of growing a pedagogical leader in the program. And again, that has looked different. I mean, we have people who work with the pre-K programs in the public schools, and we have people who work in schools that have one classroom, and then we have other programs that have 10 classrooms or 6 classrooms. And so how they have gone about organizing what it looks like to have a pedagogical leader in their program has looked really different, but it's really pushed and continued to be a touchstone for the lead teachers and the directors to keep pedagogy at the front of their work. So there's examples of different people like really rethinking how they're spending their time and organizing what's going on and figuring out how they can leverage that time to meet with teachers either in pairs or as a group. And so I could probably go on and on, but I think maybe that gives you a general idea of some of the work that's happened.
Yeah. Thank you. That's really helpful and that chart is wonderful too to see. Thank you for sharing that. That is great. Great. So, Terry.
Yeah, I wish I had taken some time to I also had a few charts I could have placed up, but that's okay. It's a work in progress. But what I think I want to talk to you about our group's goal, when we first started, our overall group's goal was that we wanted to make sure that everybody working with young children in our community became part of our shared services network. So we really wanted to embrace our family child care homes. We needed our Head Start program involved, and we needed our public school partners involved as well. And that hasn't happened because what we've discovered, this is very hard work, and it's very, it's not an easy task. And so we decided that we better back off and really make strong what we could among the child care centers and just start there with a plan to eventually expand and bring those other partners on board. Because we county have that many and we should be able to include all. But at this point, it just seemed more feasible to really think about staying focused with what we were trying to do with the group. So in our overall goals, we've wanted to maintain that we keep the uniqueness of each program and honor the fact that each of those 6 programs are very unique and very different. So one of the first things they did was a small goal, and it was to create a foundation where they could contact each other, and it was just something as simple as a spreadsheet with the information on all the information about each of their programs. Now, all the years that I worked with TTAP programs across the state, we used to have that resources at our fingertips. But I learned that this group didn't necessarily have that, and it was something important that they needed. So we started with something simple like that. One of the other simple goals that we did was they wanted to tour each of the sites. You're so busy when you run these programs, you often don't even know what the other programs in your community look like. So trying to visit each other's sites. That's still a work in progress. It hasn't been done by all, but it has been done by several. And I think it'll make a big difference when as we do this work, for them to understand what each of their facilities look like and what they deal with on a day-to-day basis. Then we started the process of developing some more, we had this overall goal. The overall goal is we want to do a back office and be able to work together. But you have to do these little goals to even get to that big goal. So we're kind of embracing the little goals. And one of the other ones that we did is we found a handyman that would go to the different centers and help do simple things in their programs that they needed done. And so through this handyman volunteer, we were able to help a couple of the programs out with things that needed to be done. Little things like that help build trust. The bigger goals are we want to purchase a ProCare system. 3 of our programs already use them. The others don't have them. In our work with Louise Stoney, we have discovered that if we will all use the same system, then when we're ready to do our back office and connect our programs together in some format, that system will help us to do that. That's one of our overall goals. The other one is we are interested in the substitute pool. Santa Fe program is trying that out at this time, and we've had some conversations with Katie and Michael Weinberg and how we can team together to take a look at that. We'll be calling ours down here a relief squad, and it's a big one. We want to help each other out. It definitely has barriers coming with it because of the licensing regulations. So we're having to deal with our secretary from CYFD and the director, Steve Hendricks, as well, as we take a look at these regs that are stopping us from sharing substitutes among programs.
So
that's not something that's allowed.
I don't know is it okay to interrupt? Because we've made some movement in that area.
Yeah, let me finish, and then I want to hear what you have to say. I think I'm looking at my notes real quick, and thank you, Kersti. But anyway, I'm excited, and Michael's really encouraging us to work together on this, and we're seeking some funding now so that maybe we'll have some resources to get this going, and we definitely don't want to do it in isolation. We need to know what's happening in Santa Fe so that we don't go back, and do those other things. We had a wonderful meeting with the Secretary Jacobson and Steve Hendricks when they came down to launch the Pull Together New Mexico project that Secretary Jacobson is doing. I had them actually come and spend some time with my shared services group, and we talked about these barriers. They were not new to them because Santa Fe had also been addressing these. So I'm sure you have made some headway, and I do want to hear about that. And I think the thing where we're headed now, the ultimate goal that we have right now is we are creating, and this is at the suggestion of Louise Stoney again, a formal memorandum of agreement, a formal agreement among us all. So I worked to create a template, and now we are looking at that template to come together, and it will be something that we sign off and commit to. Down the road a ways, it may look that we pay a membership fee in to help us, have some resources and have some buy-in to being a part of the shared services network. But that's probably where we won't head right now. We take these little steps before, as we're trying to create and build, so that we have the buy-in and comfort from all of these 5 to 6 programs that we're working with. So yeah, please share, Kersti.
Well, just in terms that we were able to pilot the substitute pool this summer, and one thing we learned is that it's great to have an administrative champion. So Jennifer at the Santa Fe Community College is, an administrative genius from what I can tell. And she was able to really navigate all of the levels of bureaucracy to make it so that the Santa Fe Community College would be the holder of the licenses of all of the substitutes. And then there was an MOU with each program. And so then they were able to use, instead of having to do a licensing and background check for every single program that they would be subbing in, that Santa Fe Community College would hold that background check. And then through the MOU, then those subs could go to every single different program that had signed up for the sub pool.
This is huge. This is huge and so exciting, and I want to thank you all for doing that. We're tapping in right behind you. And I think that our champion to hold our files will probably be our Community Partnership for Children 501c3. And one of the challenges we have is also building that's making sure that foundation of the CPC is as strong as the shared services network that they're overseeing. So we're simultaneously trying to figure out how to work strengthening both of these groups so they can do that kind of work.
Yes.
Oh, thanks. Yay.
That is wonderful to hear about progress in both places and the sharing of information. That's the fact that it worked in Santa Fe is a great sign. And there's a question here from Kathy.
I have a question about the sub-poll. Did the public schools participate in that sub-poll?
Oh, that's a whole nother level of problems. You have to remember the substitute pools for public education are different than childcare. And so we have addressed that barrier also with both Secretary Jacobson and Steve Hendricks, because they need to know that why? There's no reason to have two different kinds of fingerprinting processes. It all goes to the same pot.
Right.
So this is one of the things that I think we as a shared service unified group should really stay on and advocate for. There is no reason, and it's costly. It's too expensive, it's costly, it's going to the same place. But yes, CYFD's, I think CYFD fingerprinting process is a little more stringent than the public education.
So we need to work on the PED is what we need to do.
Yes.
Okay,
and Secretary Jacobson said, I can do my part. I don't know what we can do about PED, but I do think, yes, it would be great if you guys could help us on the PED side. We need, and this has been work of higher education all these years as higher ed. As I was sitting at the table doing all this articulation for the early childhood program, these fingerprint things kept coming up all the time. It's been a long time problem that needs to be kind of resolved.
I just want to say something about the reason, I don't know if this was made clear about the substitute pool for the CTI. The idea of the substitute pool for the CTI was that members of the CTI could have access a substitute who could come to their program so that teachers could have meeting time. And so it's not just a substitute just because programs need substitutes, but we have like a real sort of like a purpose or agenda around wanting to create this substitute pools to help us strengthen the work that we're trying to integrate into these programs. So I just want to say that about the substitute pool. And I think that the Santa Fe Community College really wanted to try to brainstorm with us in that way. They also have students that are there that they can help to recruit from. There's students at the college for substitutes as well.
I think that this would be an ideal solution in grants, because being a small community, especially being in early childhood, I know that in the public schools, the sub-pool, we have maybe 2 people that I would like to have in my classroom when I have to be gone for something. Yeah. Because they're the ones with the training, and those people are always busy. So, I know I can talk with Brenda Copal and see if maybe, because she's been very supportive of a lot of our work. Maybe if we could come together and have some kind of meeting where she'd be interested in this. But I agree, if we had a bigger sub-pool and grants that we could pull from, and that Head Start could utilize, and that our new early child care center that's coming in could utilize, that would just be wonderful. And why aren't we working together to make these services work?
Well, we want to model ours after what Washington is doing in Sound Solution, where they call it a relief squad. And the reason they call it that is because it's so tied to training and educating these brand new subs that are coming on board that are going to be the substitute. But we know in doing the work all these years that these substitutes eventually become our assistant teachers, and then they become our aides, and then assistants, and then that's how they begin, and they work their way up. I mean, that's how we build our workforce. And so to have a really well trained substitute pool is the way to go. And then you're building the foundation of what you need to have better teachers and better educators, you know, as they hit the classroom and begin that kind of work as they move their own careers along.
Do you know if there's any data on any of that?
Yes, I'm sure that Sound Solutions in Washington has lots of it, because this is not a new program for them, is it, Baji? They've been doing it for years, I think.
And they plan on this as a career starter.
Yes.
Instead of being disappointed when anybody gets the job, what they did is decide, okay, it's the pathway into getting jobs, so that if you're interested in working at one of the centers, a good thing to do is join the relief squad. You get to see the different centers that they go to, and the centers get to know you. You can see where there's a good match, and when an opening pops up, then you've got a full-time job. So they built that in as just the way the program runs. So they're always looking, as I understand it, for new people to enter the relief squad. And it's also a pipeline for finding good people to take jobs. And this makes total sense.
I was on a panel with someone from Sound Childcare Solutions, and she also talked about that the substitutes, again, are used to allow teachers to leave the classroom to have time to plan and to think and reflect on their work. So not just because a teacher has to be out because they're sick or something, but it's also part of the professional development of their program.
It would be great to have multiple uses. So, if somebody's sick, yes. If somebody needs 2 hours for personal development planning or whatever, yes.
I think one thing that at least the pattern in the Collaborative Teachers Institute schools is that so all of the folks that come to the Collaborative Teachers Institute are there because they're interested in learning how to become pedagogical leaders. Mm-hmm. And as they've thought about what it means to become a pedagogical leader, it has really challenged many of the programs to think about how to organize teachers' time so that they can do this collaborative work around studying children's interests to inform their curriculum development and the work that's happening in their programs. Mm-hmm. And one model hasn't worked for every single program, but every single program has made progress in figuring out how to organize time for teachers to meet. And the substitute pool is one more resource that programs can start to draw on to make that a reality in their program.
Huge.
That is wonderful to hear that every single program has made progress in that. That is super important. And in their different ways. So I hope you're planning on writing this up to, I'm sure as a report to the Thornburg Foundation, but also just for all of us, publish it in Young Children or something or other. I think it's really worthy of national attention about how to build in this understanding for the need for professional development time, reflection time, and built into the day. So this is wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, look to your inboxes. Coming to you soon.
Oh, that's great. Wonderful.
Baji, it's amazing how similar Terry's experience is to what we're experiencing, and it really kind of, I don't know, just emphasizes the need in the rural areas to have these kinds of collaborations, where we hear over and over again, everything happens in Albuquerque, everything happens in Santa Fe. And, it's not that we have to ride our horses in, but it is kind of a day-long trip to come in. And so it's good that there are people in these rural areas that are saying, this is a need, we need to, what can we do to help these other educators and these other providers get what they
You think,
professional development.
yeah, Lara, I think you make a good point too, because when we live in smaller areas, sometimes it's a lot easier to do collaborative work within our communities than it is in those larger areas, because we don't have the resources and we have to rely on each other. And so I would never in 1,000 years taken this particular job on in my retirement had it not been here in Grant County, where I know people could come together and have a conversation. And because I have done my career down here and done a lot of building and, worked in the childcare field for so long and in the education field for so long, it was just a good fit for me to go ahead and try to help. So it's not easy. I think, and I'm hearing the common threads, of what's happening among all three of our programs. And I see ways that we can probably network and support each other. So I think it's exciting.
Very much.
So I think we have already jumped right into the Q&A time, which is wonderful. And I wonder if there are any more comments or questions. And I guess we lost Melissa. Is Melissa there?
She's muted.
I'm here.
Oh, that's great. Oh, wonderful, Melissa. I just haven't seen you for a while.
I just turned off my video for a minute.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add or questions or whatever?
I was just wondering, I guess we don't have anything like that in the eastern part of the state, do we?
Not yet.
Yeah, we need to get something going.
Absolutely. I know Cindy Cicero is interested, so yeah, I think it'd be great to see what we can cook up.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And Melissa, it was for us kind of ridiculously easy to get it started because we shared a consultant with Gallup. Our pre-K consultant also worked in Gallup, and so that little bug in her ear took the idea to Gallup and to Zuni, and they were really receptive, and so it kind of just easily fell into place. And Kathy and I are always looking for some way to cause trouble, and so we were happy to take it on.
Well, I also will jump in. I think one of the reasons why the Collaborative Teachers Institute has been as successful as it has been is because at the very beginning, Katie and Gigi really listened to the participants and what they thought that they needed. And so I think that listening to the people who would be coming to the table is the really important first start and building from there, which it sounds like all three programs have done.
Yeah, and that is certainly a commonality, and that's just in line with what pedagogical leadership and reflective practice is about in terms of encouraging teachers to listen to children. So if this work with adults, among adults, is based also on listening to children, to listening to the teachers, then we've got a synergy and a parallel process going on that makes this work all the way around.
So I want to bring up one of the challenges, and I guess we've hit on it a little bit maybe, but I think the funding to continue the work. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm in year 2, and we're patched together right now, working on a small Kanama grant that will end in November. So after November, there's no salary for me. So, you take a look at, and we have to keep those pieces going. We don't want to have any break in our momentum of what we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And I say that, and then on the other side, I will say we're scrambling in the process of doing some grant writing, and we have some good potential of getting some funding coming through. But it's just scary for me, and I did this in my career too as I built my program. It's like, darn, I retired not to do grant writing again, and here I am. But anyway, you just do these full circle things because of that leadership that you're all describing about. When you have the leadership skills and still have that passion and you want to help, you do what you have to do. But I think the funding is such a challenge, and I think we'll see that as a common thread through all of our, as we try to move our efforts forward.
Mm-hmm. So the funding is a challenge, absolutely, and I think that's why the policy work is important also, because as administrators in state government and federal government understand more and more about the value of this, they will hopefully build in strategies where funding for this is more, will be more forthcoming. And I mean, the meetings together is such an important place to start. And then when you start doing these things of building the trust among programs and being able to share, like Child Care Pro with each other and share about
Pro Care, Badgie.
Pro Care, you know, that is so important. So as more and more people understand that, hopefully there will be more and more support for this.
Badgie, this is Judy Ward in Silver City. May I say something?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I just got a note that you were also on the phone, as well as Monica Gonzalez. That's wonderful. Yeah, please, Judy, go ahead.
Well, we had our Little Lambs daycare board meeting today, and I learned something that I didn't even know, that the state has put into effect, apparently through the legislature, a new ruling for food preparation handlers and servicers, that each person who handles food or serves food must have a new training class as well as a $10 license. So if your teachers each handed food to their kids, they have to have this $10 license. And apparently it's going to hit the potlucks, the nonprofits like the Elks and the Rotary and the Lions who fix things on the big holidays, that kind of thing. And I'm really distressed that the state just keeps increasing these problems that we have with funding, because we have 15 teachers, that's $150 a piece. If they have to go to Albuquerque for a silly 3-hour training that they could do on this Zoom, just like we're doing today, why in the world are they creating so much extra cost and time for us, get our teachers out of the centers to just go do this?
Yes, yeah. Well, thank you for informing us about that. And it would be great to have these trainings decentralized or through Zoom, like you say, so it's easy access.
Does anyone know about this food change?
When does it go into effect?
Well, apparently it was July 1st.
Really?
Judy, I don't think so.
But they're not going to, publish, penalize us or something until next March or something. They're not even sure. Our Senator, Howie Morales, didn't even know anything about it. So I don't know if it was kind of sneaked through the legislature or what.
Wow.
It may be federal. Did it come down from the federals? Because it has to do.
I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows anything about it except all of a sudden it's here.
We can just keep pretending we don't know anything about it.
Civil disobedience and nobody knows.
That might be what we need to do, is have a little bit of a revolution in order to make people understand.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, I think that's one lesson that we can learn from Jen at the Santa Fe Community College and her ability to try to navigate the system around background checks for substitute pools. She just kept asking the questions and trying to talk to the next person that could give her an answer. And
that's fantastic. She found a solution for that. That's really wonderful. Mm-hmm. That is great.
But it does take, like, navigating these different layers of bureaucracy. I mean, she was navigating her own institution as well as at the state level, as well as all of the different program levels. So.
Right. That's a certain kind of skill necessary for survival in this era. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
But also begs the question of that it's okay to ask the question of these different institutions.
Yeah, and to keep asking and to following up.
And to letting people know what the implications are of certain rules that have been put into place that maybe they haven't thought about what the consequences are.
Yeah.
Practice, so.
Yeah. Yeah. So, does anybody else have a question? Monica Gonzalez, are you, you want to add something, please do. No, anybody else?
So I'm going to say something about Monique because I know she's on the phone, but she represents the Training and Technical Assistant Program in our Southwest region, Familiar Resource Center.
Yes.
And I want to say quickly that in the work that we're doing down here, we're keeping our TTAP program at the table with us. So she serves as a partner. And I think, that's also really important. We no longer have 8 programs. We only have 4 in the state. But as we do this work around serving, especially in the childcare world and family childcare homes, these people in the TTAP programs, they're out there. They're the ones who are doing the trainings and the working with all these individuals around New Mexico. So I think keeping them in the loop is really important.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Monique, for being on the phone.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm muted.
We can hear you. You're unmuted. We can hear you.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was muted. But I did get on the call a little late, so I didn't get to introduce myself. But I am a TTAP consultant with La Familia Research Center. And I really enjoy being on this shared service program just because it really been helping me a lot get to know the programs in Grant County because I'm originally from Luna County. So being able to work closely with these programs, I'm able to just kind of meet their needs a little bit better and kind of really cater my services to them to what they really need.
That's wonderful. Yeah, the connection between all the programs, the TTAPs, the pre-K consultants, the focus consultants, all of that networking is so important. Cool.
Well, I'm glad that I joined you guys in this ladies in this conference today, because I think that the networking we can do is going to be very beneficial for Laura and I, and for WRECC, which is our for collaboration. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks you one and all for your time. This is great for zooming in and coming in, and it's wonderful. Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and you will all be getting some information, a link to this wonderful webinar and other resources for shared services. And thank you one and all. I look forward to more exchange and more growing of this this opportunity in New Mexico.
Baji, thank you for your leadership.
Oh, thank you.
All this together and being such a champion for shared services.
Thank you. Thank you. Good.
Great to meet you all.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.